So we are going to look at the human digestive system. And when we talk about the human digestive system, we shall start by defining the term digestion. And when you talk about digestion, what it means is that it's the breakdown of food into small particles. So this is the breakdown of food into small particles to facilitate absorption into the bloodstream. And we may ask ourselves, is digestion necessary? Now, when these food particles are broken down into small particles so that we facilitate absorption into the bloodstream, then all that process, we need to ask ourselves, is it necessary? And I would say that digestion is necessary because it is through digestion that we get energy to be able to undertake various activities. So those nutrients are absorbed into the blood so that we're able to get the energy. Now, we also define the term alimentary canal. It's a very key term. In the process of digestion, there's that tube that runs. From the mouth to the anus. So it is the tube. That runs from the mouth. So from the mouth up to the anus. From the mouth to the anus. So that's what we call the alimentary canal. We can also say it consists of. So we need to know the parts of the alimentary canal. And as we've said, it starts from the mouth, meaning that the first part of the alimentary canal is the mouth. The first part of the alimentary canal is the mouth. So the first part is the mouth. The second part, we are going to discuss it, is called oesophagus. Oesophagus, once you swallow the food, it moves to the stomach through the tube called the oesophagus, also called oesophagus. We're going to discuss it. It's also called the food pipe, also called the gullet. So those are the terms that you can use to describe the oesophagus. You can also call it the food pipe or the gullet. And after it moves then to the stomach. You can see it's a process. So meaning after you swallow the food, it moves through the oesophagus to the stomach. So meaning the third part of the alimentary canal is the stomach. Now, after the food enters the stomach, then it will move into the small intestines. You'll find that some books describe the small intestines also as the ileum. Though the ileum is made up, the ileum is the major part. It's the major part of the small intestines. And then it will then move to the large intestine. The large intestines. Some books describe the large intestines as the colon. Very important for you to note that digestion ends at the small intestines. And why do I say this? Now, the digestion will end at the small intestines. Only the indigestible materials and indigestible materials are those materials that were not digested that will now move to the large intestines. Then we excrete them. They move out through the rectum and finally through the anus. So meaning that those are the parts of the alimentary canal. So those are the parts of the alimentary canal. So I say that when we are doing learning, it's always good to do some self-reflection. And we started by defining the term digestion. And we said that digestion is the process by which food is broken down into small particles to facilitate absorption into the blood stream. And then we've also described the parts, we've also described the term alimentary canal, and we said alimentary canal is the tube that runs from the mouth to the anus, and it consists of the following. We started with the mouth, then the food moves through the gullet to the stomach, then from the stomach, then it moves to the small intestines, then to the large intestine, then to the rectum, and finally to the anus. So those are the parts of the alimentary canal. And it also describes, when it comes to the alimentary canal, the examiner might also ask you, parts of the digestive system. Parts of the digestive system. So these are also the elements. We can also note that alimentary canal, these are also parts. These are also parts of the digestive system. So meaning that if I know the parts of the alimentary canal, I'm also able to know the parts of the digestive system. Are we getting? That if I know the parts of the alimentary canal, I also know the parts of the digestive system. So we can note that liver and pancreas are not part of the alimentary canal, but they are only liver and pancreas are not part of the alimentary canal. They are not parts of the alimentary canal. They only play a supportive function. They only play a supportive function. They only play a supportive function. Now, we need to know which are these supportive functions. Which are these supportive functions? For instance, we can note that liver produces bile juice. We should note produces bile juice. And we shall note later on that this bile juice is used in emulsification, that is breaking down of fats into fatty acids in the duodenum. It's very important. We can even note it now that this bile juice, it will not be used in the liver. And that's why we are saying this alimentary, it's not part of the digestive system, but it is playing a supportive function. And which is the supportive function? Producing the bile juice. So bile juice, we note also, bile juice is used in breaking down, bile juice is used in breaking down fats into fatty acids. Bile juice is used in breaking down fats into fatty acids. This process is called emulsification. This process is called emulsification. It occurs in the liver. It occurs in the duodenum. It occurs in the duodenum. So underline the keywords, emulsification. So examiner will ask you, at which organ is the bile juice produced? And you tell the examiner, liver. Then he'll ask you, where does emulsification occur? You tell the examiner, duodenum. And then the examiner will also ask you, what is the function of the bile juice? And you say, breaking down of fat into fatty acids. And this process is called emulsification. This process is called emulsification. So we proceed on to look at each part of the digestive system or parts of the alimentary canal. And you know this is the mouth. you can see the mouth. This is the mouth. So this is the mouth, you can't see it. This is the mouth. Then once you swallow the food, the food gets to the stomach through this tube called the oesophagus. So this is the oesophagus. This is the oesophagus. Now the food gets into the stomach through the oesophagus. So this is the stomach. Once the food remains in the stomach a little bit, and then is taken into the small intestines. You can see these are the small intestines. These are the small intestines. And this is where the digestion ends. So digestion ends in the small intestines. And then the indigestible materials are then moved into the large intestines, and then to the rectum, and then later on you excrete them through the anus. Note that the absorption of water and mineral salts occur in the large intestines. The absorption of water and mineral salts occur in the large intestines. So we are going to be describing each of those parts. So we are going to say that digestion starts occurring. So we are going to start with the mouth. So parts of the digestive system. Parts of the digestive system. And note that you also said these parts of the digestive system are also parts of the alimentary canal. And we start with the mouth. What is in your mouth? In your mouth you can see you have saliva, you have a tongue, and you have the teeth. Those organs in the mouth play key functions in the digestive process. So for instance, we have in the mouth, we can say produces saliva. So mouth has salivary glands. Mouth has salivary glands that produce saliva. And we need to know which is the function of the saliva. So it mixes food. So we note that saliva assists in swallowing food boluses. Saliva assists in swallowing food boluses. So that's one. Then we also note that the mouth, starch is digested in the mouth. Starch is digested by enzymes in the mouth. Starch is digested by enzymes in the mouth. So if the examiner happens to ask, where is starch digested? Where is starch digested? So definitely you say that starch is digested in the mouth. Starch is digested in the mouth. Then you also have the teeth in the mouth, and so teeth breaks down food into small particles. So it breaks down food into small particles. So that's another function of the mouth. And we also have the tongue. And what does the tongue do? The tongue is the one that swallows food into the oesophagus or the gullet. So moves food to the gullet. So tongue moves food into the gullet. And did we say the gullet is also called the food pipe? We keep reminding ourselves it's also called food pipe, also called oesophagus. Oesophagus. So that's the first part of the digestive system, which is the mouth. Now we move to the second part, which is the oesophagus. oesophagus. We also call it the food pipe. We also call it the gullet. So we'll describe the oesophagus, the food pipe, or the gullet, and what happens at this stage. So during the, note that this is the oesophagus that is now connecting the mouth to the what? It's connecting the mouth to the stomach. So in the gullet, peristalsis, so peristalsis takes place at the gullet. Peristalsis takes place in the oesophagus. So the examiner will ask you, where does the peristalsis takes place? The examiner will ask you, where does the peristalsis takes place? And then you tell him that the peristalsis takes place in the oesophagus. It takes place in the oesophagus. So the peristalsis is the movement of food. We can describe peristalsis is the movement of food, from the mouth to the stomach. From the mouth to the stomach. So that's simply what is peristalsis, movement of food from the mouth to the stomach. So you keep reviewing or reflecting, and you ask yourself, what have we studied? We studied about the mouth. We've noted that starch is digested in the mouth. The mouth also has certain organs. For instance, it has the tongue. It has the salivary glands that produces the saliva. It also has the teeth. The tongue is the one that will swallow the food to the oesophagus for the movement to the stomach. We have the saliva that the saliva that moistens the food. It moistens the food, and it's so forming those boluses. And you also have the teeth that cut the food into small pieces. That is the teeth breaking down into food into small pieces. Then we move to the oesophagus, which is also called the gullet, also called the food pipe. And we've noted that this gullet or the food pipe or the esophagus, this is where the peristalsis takes place. And the peristalsis, we've said that it is the movement of food from the mouth to the stomach, from the mouth to the stomach. Then we move to the next, and the next part of the digestive system, and we are going to talk about the stomach. So this next step is the next system is the stomach. And in the stomach, it's very important to note that the food is temporarily stored in the stomach, The food is temporarily stored in the stomach. The stomach also produces gastric juice and hydrochloric acid So stomach produces gastric juice and hydrochloric acid. So those two juices are produced in the stomach, and it's very important to note what are the functions of both of them. So gastric juice digests proteins. And hydrochloric acid we note that the hydrochloric acid kills germs in the food. So where does the digestion of proteins occur? It occurs in the stomach and is digested by the gastric juice. It is digested by gastric juice. Then we move to the next part, and the next part is going to be the small intestines. So we describe the small intestines. Let us describe the small intestines. We are still looking at parts of the digestive system. We are still discussing parts of the digestive system. We are still discussing parts of the digestive system. And when it comes to the small intestines, intestines, the first thing we note, it is made up of, note that we said that most of the books describe the ileum as the small intestines. So it's made up of the ileum and duodenum. You remember, did we talk about the duodenum? We talked about it, and we said that it's in the duodenum where, after the liver is the one that will produce the bile juice. And then once the liver produces the bile juice, you can see we described it here. Once the liver produces the bile juice, then that juice will be used in emulsification. That is the process of conversion of fats into fatty acids. Conversion of fats into fatty acids, and that one occurs in the duodenum. So the duodenum, we can note that duodenum is the upper part. Duodenum is the upper part of the small intestines. The ileum is the major part. Of the small intestines. We also need to note that digestion ends in the small intestine. So we can note that digestion ends in the ileum. Digestion ends in the ileum. So which is the main part, or the major part of the small intestines, and this is where digestion ends. So we talk about the small intestines, and we can further describe what happens in the duodenum. I think we described it, and we said that in the duodenum, we can note, in the duodenum, bile mixes with the pancreatic juice, produced in the pancreas. And we said, what's the function of the bile juice? We said that the function of the bile juice is to break down fats, into fatty acids, and that process, we said, is called emulsification. So then we can also note that the ileum is coiled. You could see this coiling. You can see the coiling. It's coiled. And why is it coiled? Why is the ileum coiled? It's coiled so that to increase the surface area over which the absorption, the digestion process will take place. So we can note that this long coiled tube of about 7 meters to increase the surface area for more digestion and absorption of food. So we can note that. The ileum is coiled to increase surface area over which digestion and absorption of food will take place. And absorption of food will take place. Absorption of food will take place. So that's why the ileum is coiled, so that to increase the surface area over which digestion and absorption of food will take place. So that is, Edwin, I hope we noted that digestion will aid in the ileum. It's very important to note that. So issues to do with the ileum, these are the important or salient features that we should note. That one, it's made up of the duodenum, it's made up of the duodenum, and it's made up of the duodenum and the ileum, that's the small intestines. And in the duodenum, it's the upper part of the small intestines, whereas the ileum is the major part of the small intestines. And we note that in the duodenum, bile mixes with the pancreatic juice produced by what? This pancreatic juice is produced in the liver, in the pancreas. The pancreatic juice is produced in the pancreas, whereas the bile juice is produced in the liver. The bile juice is produced in the liver. And ileum, we noted that it is coiled to increase the surface area over which the digestion and absorption of food will take place. The digestion and absorption of food will take place. So we move on to look at the large intestines. So so there is no digestion, there is no intestines. There is no digestion that will take place in the large intestines. Why? Digestion has already ended at the small intestines. Digestion has already ended at the small intestines, and consequently, there is no digestion here. So it's the major part of the large intestine. The large intestine is colon. The major part of the large intestine is colon. So it is rectum is also part of the large intestines. Rectum is also part of the large intestines. And then we also note that it's in the large intestines, water and mineral salts are absorbed in the large intestines. They are absorbed in the large intestines. So water and mineral salts are absorbed in the large intestines. So that is very important to note, that water and mineral salts are absorbed in the large intestines. And we've also noted that there is no digestion since digestion ended. We can also note that there is no digestion. There is no digestion since it ended in the small intestines. There is no digestion since it ended in the small intestines. So there is no digestion in this because it ended in the small intestines. So it's very important to note that. Then the rectum will store the undigested food temporarily. It will store food temporarily. So we can note that now we are still looking at the rectum and the anus. And we say rectum, what's the function of the rectum? And we note that rectum stores undigested food temporarily. And then anus Egestion. Egestion is removal. Egestion of undigested. Undigested and indigestible. We can say both undigested, it has, that food was not digested. And there are foods that are indigestible. Maybe you've taken something that is not, like you've taken something that cannot be digested. Indigestible materials. So this is egestion. Egestion means removal. So those are the parts or the salient features of the digestive system. So to test ourselves whether we've understood, we are going to do practice questions. So I'm going to write them here, and then you give answers. Practice questions. And the first question is, what is digestion? What is digestion? That's the first question. What is digestion? The second question we are going to ask, with the second question, is digestion starts. Where does digestion start? Where does digestion start? Where does digestion start? And the third question we are going to ask ourselves is, the movement of food in the gullet in a wave-like manner is known as the movement of food. The movement of food in the gullet in a wave-like manner. Is called the movement of food in the gullet in a wave-like manner is called. Then, name the digestive juices produced. Name the digestive juices. Name the digestive juices produced in one, mouth, A, mouth, B. So you name the digestive juice produced in the mouth, B, stomach, and C, small intestines. Stomach and C, small intestines. Intestines. So name the digestive juices produced in the following. That is mouth, stomach, and small intestines. Then digestion of cassava starts at the, question 5, digestion of cassava. Digestion of cassava starts at, so you tell me, where does the digestion of cassava start? State two parts of the alimentary canal where there is no digestion of food. Two parts of alimentary canal. 2 parts of alimentary canal where there is no digestion of food. Where there is no digestion. There is no digestion of food. Where there is no digestion of food. 2 parts of the alimentary canal where there is no digestion of food. And then the other question is, two parts of the two organs that are not part of the alimentary canal but are very important in producing digestive juices. So two organs which are not part of the alimentary canal, two organs that are not part. That's question 7. Two organs that are not part of the alimentary canal, but are essential in producing digestive juices. in producing digestive juices. That's question 7. That's question 7. And then question 8 is, question 8, fats and oils are digested in the fats and oils are digested in the fats and oils are digested in the. And then question 9 is that dash kills any germs present in food. Dash kills any germs present in food. Present in food. Dash kills any germs present in food. And then, what is the meaning of the following? Question 10. What is the meaning? What is the meaning of the following? What is the meaning of the following? A, digestion, and B, constipation. If you've ever had someone say that he's having some constipation, what is constipation and what is digestion? So I'm giving you 30 seconds to finish doing that work so that I give you the answers to those practice questions. We do them together, and all of them are sourced from what we've been studying. They are sourced from what we've been studying. So 30 seconds. And I feel that the seconds are over, so we can start. What is digestion? So digestion is the process of breaking food into small particles to facilitate absorption into the bloodstream. So process of breaking down food into small particles to facilitate digestion. So the second question, we asked, where does digestion start? So digestion starts in the mouth. And then the movement of food in the gullet in a wave-like manner. I remember we described that term. And you remember when we were talking about esophagus, the very first word I used was peristalsis. And I said the peristalsis is the movement of food from the mouth to the stomach in a wave-like manner. So that is called peristalsis. So peristalsis is the movement of food in the garret, to the stomach in a wave-like manner. Then question 4, name the digestive juices produced in the mouth. What is produced in the mouth? So what is produced in the mouth? We remember you said saliva, produced by the salivary glands. Saliva, so this is saliva. What is produced in the stomach? We noted that gastric juice is produced in the stomach, and this gastric juice is the one that will digest proteins. And then small intestines, we have intestinal juice. Intestinal juice. Then digestion of cassava starts at, cassava is a starch. So any starch, digestion will start in the mouth. So it's the answer is mouth. And then 2 parts of the alimentary canal where there is no digestion of food. 2 parts of the alimentary canal where there is no digestion of food. 1, there is no digestion that occurred in the gullet. This gullet or the oesophagus or the food pipe It only facilitated the movement of food. It only facilitated the process of peristalsis. That is the movement of food from the mouth to the stomach. There is no digestion that occurred there. So one of the part is that where digestion did not occur is the gullet or oesophagus. Oesophagus, also called the food pipe. The second part is of the alimentary canal where there is no digestion is the colon or the large intestines. Colon, large intestines, intestines, or the colon. Then the other question, two organs that are part of the alimentary canal, but two parts that are not. They are not part of the alimentary canal, but are essential in producing digestive juices. Are essential in producing digestive juices. And these parts are, one, we had the liver. What did the liver produce? The liver produced the bile juice. The liver produces the bile juice. And this bile juice mixes with the pancreatic juice. And then the bile juice mixes with the pancreatic juice. And the bile juice is used in the process of emulsification. And this process of emulsification, that is breaking down of fats into fatty acids, occurs in the duodenum. The duodenum is the upper part of the small intestines. It's the upper part of the small intestines. And then we also have the pancreas. Pancreas is not part of the alimentary canal, but it is essential in producing pancreatic juice. It's essential in producing pancreatic juice. And then fats are oil. Fats and oils are digested in the Note, we said once this bile juice is produced in the liver, then this bile juice will be produced in the liver, but it will be moved to what? To the duodenum. And the duodenum, that is where emulsification will occur. So emulsification is the process by which fats are digested or broken down into fatty acids. So meaning here I should say duodenum. Duodenum. And then dash kills any germs present in food. What kills any germs? Hydrochloric acid. Hydrochloric acid. Produced where? Produced in the stomach. Produced in the stomach. Note we said that two important things produced in the stomach are hydrochloric acid as well as the gastric juice. Then, what is the meaning of the following terms? Digestion. Digestion is the removal of undigested materials. That's what removal of undigested food. Removal of undigested and indigestible foods and materials. Then what is constipation? When I say that constipation, I have constipation, it's the difficulties in movement of bowel. You cannot be able to empty in emptying the bowel, so you can't be able to empty your bowel. So that's what is constipation, difficulty in emptying bowel. So those are the practice questions. That brings us to the end of this topic, the human digestive system. Thank you.